I'm Alex.
And I'm Teddy.
And we are
The Button Mappers.
Hey, the Button Mappers. Clue.
One.
Welcome
I said one when you said clue. Come on, Alex.
welcome to the Clue Club. Home of the Clue fans.
Clue.
Oh, what is that? I hear a wild Clue bird calling you from afar. What a beautiful day to be a Clue fan.
While some might say that's your cue, Alex would say that's your clue.
Welcome to
the Button Mappers, where we have simultaneously had a discourse on 2D platforms and are now about to jump into the third dimension. Gentlemen, I'm Teddy.
Ladies, I'm Alex.
And in betweens, I'm Spencer.
Put on your 3D glasses, because it's about to be a ride.
If you didn't,
Whoa!
Jesus Christ, if you didn't watch the last or listen to, there's something to watch. The last discourse, please exit the theater now and
I watched the thumbnail.
go do so.
I watched the title screen.
Yeah, frankly, if you didn't listen to the 2D platformer thing, what's wrong with you? And why are you listening to this? You're a big jerk and you're making me mad.
Spencer, are you trying to insinuate something about fans of the 3D platforming genre? Because I consider myself a fan.
Well, I'm not.
Back in my day, we didn't have 3D platformers.
We only had 2D platformers.
All of our
And the Atari.
platformers were 2D.
I remember when you used to jump over the pit, and if you didn't jump far enough, you fall.
The gator get you.
They used to call it pitfall.
I don't know anything about these here in fancy 3D platformers. All I know is that the 2D platformers, they're pretty good.
Welcome to the Button Mappers, where we record an entire discourse in a southern accent.
Welcome to the 3D platformer. Today we're talking about the 3D platformer.
I was joking, don't stop.
All right, let's talk about 3D platformers.
My favorite is Mario.
I really like Dylan's Rolling
What
Western.
makes 3D platformer a 3D platformer? Go ahead, Spencer.
It's the jumping. It's the 3D. It's the platforming.
What? Yeah, I agree. It's really hard. There's a couple different versions of a 3D platformer. There's the ones where you collect all the stuff. And then there's the ones where you have to get to the end of the stage. You know what I mean? Like some of them are kind of open.
Yeah. I hear you.
Teddy's just not.
I really like the moments where you get the stars in Super Mario 64.
I really liked it.
I reckon those are the best
I
parts.
really like them moments. You guys ever play a little game called Crash Bandicoot?
Nah, sir,
I
but
liked
I
old-
remember Quest 64,
Oh.
That's not a platformer.
and this one is called Grubber. Say,
on, man.
y'all know this fella in Texas by the name Tex Andrews?
He's a hero in these ports.
I heard an urban legend that he played and beat Clue Land without even touching the controller.
He played it with his socks.
Spencer, do you know anything about this legend? I believe they used to call him a legend jumper.
Yeah. Oh, man. Tex Andrews. I miss that guy. I hope he comes back someday. He comes back home to me.
In a serious note, no more jokes beyond this point. Completely serious 3D platformers.
Mm.
What is a 3D platformer?
Super Mario 64.
Spencer.
A 3D platformer is a console.
What? I've never heard of this console.
It's it's everything we talked about 2D platformers. You got your jumping, you got your running, you got your platforms. But now there's 3 dimensions instead of 2. You can look up, down, left, and right. Oh my god.
Ah!
This is
I really think that there's two types of 3D platformers, and it's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Is that there is the hallway 3D platformer, the A to B's, your Crash Bandicoots, those type of games, and then there's the collectathon, the Mario 64s, the Banjos, where you have to get around, collect all the things, do all the things.
I agree. Which one do you prefer?
Both can be fun. Which one do I prefer?
And to note, both can also suck.
Both can also
miserably.
suck. Yes, definitely. I'm gonna say the hallway platformers.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think the open world is better.
I still like the open world. Jack and Daxter on PS2 is one of my favorite games. That game is fucking great. The OG, the first one, not the sequels.
I'm a big fan of the Monkey Ball games.
Those are Marble Madness.
Yeah, they're platformers though,
Would you?
and they're 3D.
You can't jump.
But you do descend through platforms. Some might call it an adventure
Some might call it 3.
or 3D. It's only one letter away.
3D. So yeah, much like a 2D platformer, I think we should, best course of action to start off here would be to list the elements that make a 3D platformer a 3D platformer.
Lightning, rain, fire,
Snow.
water,
Trees.
grass, dirt. Alex, do you have an element for the list?
Bear.
Cow.
My favorite element is bear.
I'm sorry, coffee beans, rice.
Okay. It's right.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Okay.
So as retribution, I'll start. Jumping.
That's
Yeah.
tough because
Monkey ball.
yeah, Monkey Ball, and then there's a bunch of other 3D games. I've always questioned would you consider consider the parkour type games like Uncharted and stuff? Are those 3 platformers? Like you're climbing and
Oh,
jumping.
Lara Croft and the Prince of Persia.
Yeah,
games,
yeah, would
too.
you call
are
those
very platform heavy?
What would you call those 3D platforms?
Well, maybe. I call them 3D platformers. Hell yeah, that has adventure games with platforming elements.
Okay.
And what are the platforming elements? It's got to be ledges, something to do with ledges.
I would say definitely Prince of Persia definitely is 3D platformer.
I will say yes, they are platformers, but with a huge caveat that I think their platforming is on heavy crutches. Those games offer a lot of ways to not fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, like rewind
They almost
time.
use platforming as a puzzle mechanic as opposed to a skill mechanic.
Okay. That's a very good point. But jumping, yes, jumping has to be obviously any platformer, that has to be the number one thing. What else?
Yeah. I think I want to get the basics out of the way first because I have one that's more will take us in a direction. Okay. But I think let's get the basics out of the way first. Because some of this probably will overlap with the 2D one, right? But another, again, a force of gravity and then some form of platforms themselves. Some way, like a level design where you have to progress via jumping. Kind of, he said jumping, but, level design to support that.
A health
Can't just
bar?
be like a straight run. A health bar.
I noticed
that's
the
more
2D
prevalent in
platformers
3D.
Don't really have them.
I'm gonna say a big difference between 2D and 3D, and something 3D needs, in some sense, is exploration.
That's what I was gonna say. More so than a 2D.
I would say
Donkey Kong Country and Metroid. Ukulele.
Yeah, but compare
possibly?
that to like a Super Mario 64
Yeah, like
or
just being
a-
on like an X and Y axis, you know, and then like turning that into a 3D environment.
I think it's exponential.
Sonic,
yeah.
you can adventure. Some played it. Sonic Adventure. No. Okay. Like
Yeah, I
'cause we
think-
did the Pokemon map out, and like even with that 2D game, that had more sense of adventure than the 3D one.
Well, that's laziness on the part of Game Freak.
You're not wrong.
I would argue that 3D opens up exponentially exploration.
The environment becomes way more important, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
there is
having those
exploration,
endless
but-
horizons to explore, almost maybe.
Well, just because you have diagonals, you have up and down. You there's a lot more verticality. I mean, technically there is verticality in 2D, but you really get that sense of verticality when you
Well,
play a 3D
let me-
platformer and you get that.
Yeah,
that
well,
view.
well, like let me give you a good example. When you start the first level of Mario 1, where do you go?
Right.
When you start the first level of Mario 64, where do you go?
You spin around.
Whichever
like, oh my
direction
God.
you want, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of the beauty of it.
Oh, another signature is 2 control sticks or 2 like control angles, like one's for the camera.
Yeah, cameras are fucking important, dude. If you
We're gonna be talking
got
about the
a
camera
bad
a little
3D
bit in this.
platform camera, you're fucked.
Considering the genre started on a console that had 1 control stick. You know, I guess the PS1 had some of them, but
Bubsy 3D.
yeah, I always look at the 64 as the primary 3D platformer console.
Yeah, I mean, you know, both had great titles, but yeah, I see what you mean by the the 3D platformer on 60, on the 64, Mario 64, Banjo, Donkey Kong,
Glover.
Glover. Yeah, there were some pretty good 3D platformers on the 64, and DK64 was there too.
They had some workarounds though, like you could use the C buttons, but you could also use like the Z or the R and L buttons to like tilt right and left.
Well, and
to like
most of
change
them,
your camera angle.
I think most of them gave you like an auto camera, right, where like it would snap back to like your view, right? It would like snap back to like right behind the character.
Yeah. That's become a standard. Pretty much. It's usually what like you input the right stick or something like that, and it'll shoot right behind you.
PS1 was no slouch though. I mean, it had like Spyro, Crash, Ape Escape. Like it had some pretty good 3D platformers too.
Yeah, I think Crash is probably the best one. At least the most iconic. On the PS1.
Well, the first Jack game was platform heavy, no?
Yeah, PS2. It was basically it was basically like Mario 64, but like everything was very seamless, and that's why I love that game. That game's like I would be interested to map out that game one day because like the environments bleed over into each other so well in that game.
Did you ever play the Jack game, Spencer?
Nope. Never
Jack
touched
1
them.
is like it's very like collectathon, like collect all the power-ups and get the the like little stars in each stage. Each stage has a certain amount of things to collect, and do the missions. And then like after Jack 1, after that like genre became less popular, they moved on to like a GTA style stuff with like Jack 2 and 3. They were more like
So wasn't it like
sandbox.
super edgy?
Yeah, and they were sandboxy, had guns and stuff. They're still fun, but like I don't know, that first Jack game like really had something,
It kind of leads me to this question about like the power of the 3D platformer. I think it's no question that 2D platformers are more reliable. Like it's really hard to like mess up unless you're dealing like with a Bubsy level.
And
3D platformers, though, I feel like we hear these horror stories and people are so critical of them, but I also feel like they're the most impressionable of the two. And I'm
agree.
going out on a limb here, but
I prefer them.
Yeah, I prefer them too.
yeah, I love 3D platformers. I mean,
They're just it's so charming to see
Yeah.
the world come to life.
I mean, I can list my, like Banjo, like I said, Jack and Daxter. I love Pac-Man World 2. That's a great 3D platformer. Those are like fantastic 3D platform games. But Spyro the Dragon, I don't know which one's my favorite. I'm just gonna put the new collection on there because it's all of them. It's just like fucking a Sonic game. I don't know, Sonic Adventure 2 maybe. That game's really Spencer, that game's really good.
I saw Sonic 1, I think, or maybe I saw Sonic 2, and it was him running down that street.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing. I was laughing hysterically through that.
I love Banjo, but I'm wondering, especially for Alex, do you love Yuka?
Yeah. I still like Yuka, even though, man, we kind of shit on that game on our map out, didn't we?
I don't think so. I think we
Looking at it from just like an overall perspective and like going through it like that, I think we found more negatives than we should have, but like overall I still enjoyed it, you know. So
I enjoyed it.
yeah.
I still clung to the character, but I think that 3D was just wrong for it.
Well, you love Impossible Lair.
I love that game.
Yeah, and that was a game, like, I remember whenever we did a reaction, remember? And we were like, huh, I hope they do another 3D game, though. Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Well, and now, do you still feel the same? Or
No. I could care less if they do another 3D one.
It's interesting, though, because, like, 3D platforms just have sort of made, like, a little bit of, like, a revival, right?
Yeah, well, that was like the first one because it was a Kickstarter project, and people were so enamored by the return of the 3D platformer because when was the last one we saw one? You know, Galaxy, I guess. Does that really count?
Mario's have still been doing that stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, but even so, like, we hadn't had any Mario Odyssey news up to that point. The Wii U, what 3D platformers did the Wii U
3D
get?
World was good.
But that was like the Crash
Yeah,
Bandicoot
it was
style.
hallway, yeah.
And I mean, I played 3D Land. 3D Land was
Yeah.
good too, but you know, that open world 3D platformer, we just don't really get a lot like that. And that was part of my concern about this discourse was like, do we have enough to list off?
We do. I mean, even now, like the 3D platforms. I played a lot of 3D platforms, like recently. I can list a few. Of course, there's Yooka-Laylee. There is. I haven't played Hat in Time, but I want to. But that's a newer one. Crash and Spyro
Same.
had those remakes. I've played. I had another one on my. I had played Astrobot and Moss on VR. VR does crazy things for 3D platformers. I'll tell you that. It takes that whole issue with the camera, throws it out the window.
Interesting. It may be in a way kind of like Mirror's Edge.
Yeah.
It's a first-person 3D platformer.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, there's a lot of platforming in that game.
Obviously, VR would be even more 3D, or first person,
Motion
but
sick to play that one in VR.
I'm gonna throw out a weird one that I almost consider a 3D platformer, but
Starfox Adventures.
no,
Did I read your mind?
Clue Adventures?
it's one of my favorite games, but I don't know if
Columns
people would.
3D.
I don't know if it's as good as Columns
Snoopy's
3D.
Grand Adventure.
It's not. It's definitely better than Snoopy's Grand Adventure.
Garfield Kart. Okay,
It's
I'm just
not
throwing
as
it
good
out.
as that one.
I'm just
It's
throwing
a.
it out.
It's Shadow of the Colossus.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Because with 3D platformers, you get a really good opportunity to really like adjust what platforming
Right,
is.
and that game's hard to classify. Like I love that game too. Great game. I don't know if I haven't played the PS4 version, but I have the PS2 version from back in.
It's the exact same thing. It just looks a
Yeah,
little
that's
better.
why I didn't bother because I was like, the PS2 version
Yeah.
in my brain still looks good, so I'm like,
It does.
I'll keep it that way.
It still looks good today.
So, yeah.
honestly.
So, but no, you're definitely right because that game's not a RPG. That game is.
No.
I wouldn't even say that game's an adventure game because there's not a lot of like dialogue. But platforming, yeah, like it's like the Colossi like almost are like your platformer challenges, right?
Yeah. The Colossi themselves are the level, and then just getting to the top of the head and killing it. That's the boss fight. Quote
No, I
unquote.
could totally see that.
Yeah.
By that same token, would you call Journey a 3D
Journey.
platformer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like right?
Yeah. Played that.
So then, doesn't that make like a lot of those style games? Like, what was the one with like the dog, the kid and his dog, the big dog on the PS4 is the.
Oh, Last Guardian.
Yeah, wouldn't that be?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the same makers.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't played that one.
wouldn't
but
that be a platform?
yes, yeah.
I liked it. Not as much as Shadow of the Colossus, but I liked that game. That game probably is more of a platformer. That has a lot of like difficult jumping segments in it, and it also means you have to train a dog, which is like, ugh.
You know what?
Nintendogs.
And like I know like
Yeah.
people were like, there's a big 3D platformer drought. Remember that? And like people were like, nobody's making 3D platformers anymore. But like once again like Nintendo still had Mario, and Sony they're bringing out like Ratchet and Clank games like forever. Like Ratchet and Clank ran like from the PS2 all the way up to like PS4. Like they had like 13 games or something like that. And those were all 3D platformers. And people were like, nobody makes them. I'm like, no, you're not paying attention.
Yeah. You're just looking at Fortnite.
Yeah, exactly. You're just
Call
looking
of
at the
Duty.
popular stuff. I was like, Ratchet and Clank's still there. It's good. It's good.
Last time on the Button Mappers, we talked about the worst 2D platforming games we ever played. Guys, do you have anything in mind for the worst 3D platforming games you've ever played? I'll start.
Oh, go ahead.
Lara Croft, Tomb Raider on the Sega Saturn.
Ooh.
All of them. All those first Tomb
Ooh,
Raiders.
That was
Those games control like ass.
And with the Sega Saturn 3-pad.
I used to date this girl that like swore by the original Tomb Raiders, and she hated like the newer ones. And I was like, have you played those older ones? They feel like fucking garbage.
The new ones are
Yeah,
great.
they're good.
Yeah.
But like
I have a caveat, but yeah, they're
well,
good.
like even like they did like the ones in like the PS3 era, like the like the fucking anniversary ones, and like stuff like that. Even those are pretty good. But like man, the OG Tomb Raider games control like fucking shit, and it's not even like because like you can argue like all those like early 3D games did like Resident Evil 1 and 2 and stuff. Like those games also control bad, but like Resident Evil 1 and 2, it's almost like it limited you for the sake of like the game's theme and like of like horror and stuff. But in Tomb Raider, the game's theme of adventure, those controls don't fit that game at all.
Yeah.
It's fucking garbage.
I don't know how you could go back and play them. I wouldn't. It would be horrible.
It was a bad experience. And I mean, part of it's the graphical limitation. Granted, it was the first jump into 3D, but it's foggy. It's hard to distinguish what you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to go.
She was hot, though. Oof.
Triangle boobs.
Oh.
Oh, plain face.
Yeah, her face looked like Pac-Man.
Speaking of Pac-Man, can I go next?
Yeah.
What are you going to pack?
You know how?
Man.
So
Let's
I
unpack
mentioned
this.
Pac-Man World 2 as like one of my favorite 3D platformers. I'm
Yeah.
gonna back up for this. Yo, fuck Pac-Man World 3. That game's dog shit.
Is that the
Oh.
Ghostly Adventures?
No, I actually don't mind those games. They're simple, but those are meant to be kids' games. Pac-Man World 3 was very bad. It for one, Pac-Man talked, which no,
Who did his
I don't know.
voice?
He sounded like a middle-aged man. He was like, and he made sex jokes. He was like, me and Miss Pac-Man, haha, yeah, and stuff like that. I was like, oh my god, shut the fuck up. What it did was it took everything good that the second game did with the 3D platformer, because the first one was like a 2.5D game. The second one had it was great, the 3D platformer. It took that, chucked it all out the window. It was a 3D platformer beat 'em up. It's like you got like a little bit of platforming, and then like the rest of it was like they'll lock you in a room and you had to fight dudes, and it was terrible. It's just fucking terrible. I hate it. Sorry, Pac-Man.
Sorry, you had to go through that.
Spencer.
My knowledge of 3D platformers is somewhat limited, but I'm gonna throw one out there that I'll put this out there as well. I have very fond memories of this game, so I can't necessarily say it was horrible, but I can also say I specifically remember the controls being pretty atrocious. Do you remember a game called Croc?
Oh yeah, Croc Legend of the Gobos, right?
The Legend of the Gobos.
Yeah.
I have fond memories, and I was also
it has that Tomb Raider issue.
yeah. And did you know
Did you know?
that Croc was supposed to be Yoshi?
Yeah. Argonaut, after working with Starfox on the SNES, they pitched a Yoshi game, and Nintendo was like, nope.
Nope.
Wow.
So, but I'm glad that Nintendo turned it down because it was not up to snuff as far as those games go. It just wasn't. Yeah, and I think the world was nice.
Yeah.
And the characters were cool and everything was there. Controls though were not friendly.
Do you remember Argonaut also made a great game called Buck Bumble?
I
And
know
it
of
has
the
one
game.
of
I've
the
never
best
played
theme
it.
songs of all time. I have that game, and I only ever pop it into my N64 to turn it on and listen to the theme song, and then I turn it right back off.
No, not familiar.
You should look at.
The archetype for Buck Bumble is there. You know, they did the B transformation in Banjo-Kazooie just fine.
Do you guys know the Buck Bumble song?
I've heard it, and then I never played the game. Can you impersonate it?
Yeah, please sing it.
Bump to the boom to the bump to the bass, buck to the bumble. Ba-da-ba-da-bap, ba-da-ba-da-bap, ba-da-ba-da-bap. It's fucking great, dude. You should look it up.
I love it already.
The Buck Bumble theme.
Is it like hip hop?
Yeah, it's like reggae, hip hop. I don't know. Nobody can figure out who the fuck did the song. Like, nobody can figure it out, but it's great.
What a
Well, isn't
legend.
it? It's got to be on the credits,
No.
right? Nobody's beating Buck Bumble. They can't.
Nobody's finished Buck Bumble. They can figure it out.
Somebody be a sport and beat that game so we can figure this
somebody please
out.
finish Buck Bumble. Okay, so worst 3D platformers. I'm ready to get lambasted. Here we go. DK64.
Whoop, whoop.
I haven't played enough, but I've heard many things about that game.
It's bad,
Yeah, I
Spence.
think for us, and that's coming from us, you know. And I'm a Rare fan, you know. Like I have rare games out the ass, you know. I love them, but yeah, they were a little overly ambitious with that game.
There's nothing signature there except for the fact that you have to just keep backtracking and going to the barrel. There's like I don't know what you call the challenges. I think the most challenging part is probably just aiming the gun.
The most challenging.
Wait, what? Aiming the gun?
Challenging.
They're coconut guns.
Fire and spirit.
fire
The
and
rap in that
spirits.
song is
If
also
he
the best
shoots,
part about
yeah.
it. Yeah. That's also
That's the best
also
part.
a game that I'll turn on, listen to the song, and turn it back off.
3D platformers. Hip hop.
But
What?
yeah, they
I think we have to close this one with a freestyle.
they put DK64, like, imagine playing Mario 64, but instead of just playing as Mario and going to each level and collecting all the stuff, Spencer, you played as Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Wario, and Waluigi, and every level you had to play through it as each one of the characters separately and get all the collectibles separately while also playing a ton of pointless minigames.
I can tell you a game that does that, and I loved
that.
it. Super Mario 64 3DS.
DS.
Or DS, not 3DS,
DS.
DS. And I love that game. It does
Yeah,
that.
but it doesn't do it to that extent, does it? It's not like, you know, like
It-
okay, so DK64, like every character, each one of the 5 characters has their own fucking bananas laying throughout the level. Like imagine if there were like coins only for Luigi, and then coins only for Yoshi, and then coins only for Wario. You know what I mean?
But they're in plain
Yes.
sight? Like
So when you're
Oh,
walking
okay.
through as Donkey Kong, you're gonna see the stuff for the other characters, and you can't interact.
in Mario 64 3DS, there were stuff for each one, but they would only be obtainable because of their jumping skills, because of their certain skill that they had.
But it didn't limit you from playing the level. The bulk of the experience of DK64 is walking.
Oh. What? It's like an exploration game?
No, it shouldn't be,
I implore you to play it,
because
Spencer.
you'd be retreading the same paths like every day.
Oh, I don't want to play that. That sounds bad.
Like,
Join us for the map out featuring our co-host.
Featuring our co-host. You can't say that anymore.
featuring
I
Spencer.
know. I
He's
gotta
already
get that out of my vocabulary.
Yeah. But yeah, that's like my example of like a game that should work, but man, they fucked it up. They tried too much.
Can you guys? I don't know enough about it, but I have seen plenty of it. But I would love to hear your guys' take on Sonic in 3D. What? And here's my caption. What happened?
So,
Alex, go ahead.
Sonic in 3D can work. Let me get that out of the way. There are good 3D games for Sonic, and there's also bad 3D games with Sonic. What it boils down to is the control and the level design, because Sonic goes fast, right? That's his thing.
I've heard him say that.
So
He's fast
the,
boy.
the most important aspect is, of course, the control. If you're running in 3D super fast and you can't control shit, it's already dead in the water there, you know. And on top of that, you need interesting like level design. So examples of good 3D Sonic games: Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Colors, fantastic games, you know. But bad 3D Sonic games, there's definitely some out there too. As you know, Sonic 06, Shadow the motherfucking Hedgehog, you know, like there's some bad ones.
Wait, what about this one? Isn't it called Sonic Kaboom?
No, Sonic Boom. I haven't played it, but
Which one? There's 3.
I haven't played it.
Oh, there's 3 of them?
And if you listen to the song in Sonic CD, the American version, it goes Sonic Boom, Sonic Boom. Why something?
I have
something.
Why are you in the room?
I haven't played any of the Boom franchise, but and then
save that for
there are
another
some
map.
like okay Sonic 3D games, like Sonic Heroes and Sonic. I would say Sonic Unleashed is there, even though I like Unleashed more than that because like it has some other elements I like music and story and stuff. But like, it's like in the middle of this game, you know. It's like it's fun, but there's flaws.
What about the one where he turns in like a werewolf or something? Oh,
yeah,
that's
and the problem with that is that like they got the 3D running levels correctly, like they're great, and they're like first time they've ever got them like down, like great, but they introduced the whole like werehog thing, and it was like they slowed it down, and it was like a beat 'em up parts, and it was kind of dumb. That's why for Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations, they took that out and kept just that speed mechanic from Unleashed. And Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors are 2 of the most celebrated Sonic games.
Good.
So.
Can I ask you guys, have you played one of those like classic 3D platformers that does not feature collection in some way or form?
Example.
Like, I give you an example of the type of collection, like obviously like the Banjos or the Marios or whatever, you know, like that, where it's like a collection is a big portion of it. You know, all the feathers, all the jiggies, all the stars.
They all have collection to my
Are we talking like
all the?
Are we talking like Sly Cooper?
Does that not have collection
not really.
in it?
It's more about progressing through the levels to progress the story.
There you go.
There's an answer.
Ratchet and Clank the same way too. It's all about weapons.
Because I was thinking like maybe collection is a huge aspect of it, but
I think it depends on the.
I think it still is.
I think it depends on the type.
Is.
If it's if it's the open platformer, yes. If it's the hallway, no. I think the hallway platformer is a little more lenient with that. You know, it's more about just getting to the end of the stage.
Yeah. Well, like Crash still has collectibles.
Yeah,
in
but
it,
you don't need them to finish the game, or like you don't really it's not really necessary. Or just like Mario 3D World and 3D Land, like there was those like optional coins in each stage, but you could still just play the game and like getting a single one.
I was thinking about Odyssey, how like the stars, or not stars, what are they? Moons, are a bit excessive. Like there's just so many, and they begin to just become, especially in the post game,
they become pointless, right?
A little bit. When do you think collection becomes excessive in a 3D platformer?
I think it has to have a good balance of like satisfaction, you know, like good example going back to why Jak 1 is so fucking good. You can beat Jak 1 without collecting all the stuff. You just got to get a certain amount of like the one collectible to like get to the next area and stuff. But when you finish the boss, they find this ancient like gate, and it's like, oh shit, you need exactly like 100 power cells in order to open this gate, and you're like, oh, that's how many are like in the game, right? So you have to go back through and collect everything, and then after you collect everything in the game, you go back to the big gate, and it opens up, and this big portal swallows them up, and then that leads into the events of Jack 2. But it's very, very rewarding because it feels like it actually progresses something.
That's a good call. Like, does it actually progress through the game? I would also say that, I mean, I don't know about a number or anything, but I would say that individually, a good collectible forces you to look at the world in a different way or look at your abilities in a different way. And once that stops either doing that or once that stops being fun, then I think you're looking at bad collectibles.
One of my favorites comes from Banjo-Tooie with the Jinjos. So Banjo-Kazooie had Jinjos, and you just collect 5 of them in a stage, and they give you a Jiggy. It's like the equivalent of the Mario Star. But in Banjo-Tooie, there's a different number of every color Jinjo, and you're basically responsible for rescuing the Jinjos. So in addition to giving a Jiggy, it gives you like a little cutscene where the Jinjo goes flying back to its house, and then when it's all completed, they like thank you, and it's really charming, and it adds to the world. So like you said, it does kind of make you consider the whole universe.
Oh yeah. Well, that game starts out with like the Jinjo village like being destroyed. So it's almost like collecting the Jinjos is like just like part of the story, Like you want to do that.
I wouldn't mind having you on for the Banjo-Tooie map out, Spencer. But you don't have the 64.
Yeah, that's a problem. I could probably play it by some ill-gotten means, but maybe.
Called the Xbox One and the rare.
There you go.
Is it on that?
Yeah.
I could do that. Yeah, I could do. I have an Xbox
You should
One.
get the rare replay anyway because it's great.
I'm not the biggest Rare fan.
But Banjo-Tooie might make you one.
Bedford is on there too.
That's true. That's true. Those
You
three.
can catch up on your Banjo-Kazooie map.
Nuts and Bolts is on there too, in case you want.
I heard about this on the Banjo-Kazooie map out.
Blast Corp's on there.
That's what I would say.
Play Blast Corp's.
That's true. But I can't play those Donkey Kong games.
No,
huh?
it's not on there. But there are some damn good
You don't
games
need
on there though. Viva Pinata, that's a good game.
Isn't that about the cannibalistic pinatas?
No, it's a gardening game about pinatas, and they can eat each other and they can fuck.
Well, sign me up. Sounds right up my alley. Checks all my boxes.
So I think we're all in agreement. I don't know, but we all like 3D platformers more than 2D platformers, right? Is that the?
I think
yes.
the thing about 3D platformers, and yeah, no, I think we're on the same boat here. But my thing about 3D platformers is like, with 2D platformers, it was style over substance. But with 3D platformers, I think it's risk over reward. Because you're taking a big risk by making a 3D platformer. It's like the Shenmue effect. If you fuck it up, you fucked up your whole legacy and everything. Ukulele was treading a very thin line. And they made it work after the fact, but people still are like disgruntled. I remember when they did the update for that game and they like added the 64 tonic and people were just pissed.
Well, and I can agree to that with the same extent for Sonic. I mean, I'm a Sonic fan, but I'm not blind. Like I know like the whole 3D. Since Sonic went into 3D, things have always been kind of rocky with the general consensus with Sonic. So yeah, I could definitely agree there.
I think with the 3D platform, I think that's a really good point, is that the highs are really high and the lows are very, very low. So you got to get it right if you're going to make a 3D platformer, and then you'll make a great game.
It really leaves you with only one question.
Oh.
Is it worth it?
I played a pretty interesting 3D platformer recently.
What was that?
Bubsy?
Yes, Bubsy 3D. New Super Lucky's Tale.
How did you like it?
What, New Super Lucky's Tale or Bubsy?
No,
It was
Bubsy.
great. new Super Lucky's Tale on the Switch.
How's
Pretty
that?
good. It's a crossbreed between a collectathon and a hallway platformer. It's a really interesting game.
It's like a Crash Bandicoot?
At some points, yes, but then some points it's like Mario 64.
It's like a Bando 3.
It's like a bando. It's like a bando coot. It's like a banjo coot.
Bando
What? I love games about the hallway.
It's interesting, and I mean, you guys are both Switch owners, so keep an eye out for that one. I think you guys like that one.
My next is a Hat in
Yeah,
Time.
I need to
own
play
it.
it.
and
I need to play
just-
it.
It looks
I actually
so
bought
good.
Lucky Tail instead of a Hat in Time, but I need to get a Hat in Time.
I think it's a good time to be a 3D platformer and a 3D
Oh, yeah.
hatformer, but
Astrobot's Astrobot is
Hatformer?
Astrobot is phenomenal. So, but that's VR only. I'm sorry.
Look at this guy. He's all high and mighty. He's got his VR.
Ah.
He goes.
You
He's the only one that can talk about it. He's the only one that's got it.
down below.
You
hey,
haven't
I play
played
with
VR?
cardboard. I played Labo.
That's yeah. You can get the Switch VR, right, where it's just the cardboard things.
Yeah, play like sock and boppers.
It's not what I want.
Besides which, Alex has a lot of familiarity with the 3D genre. He's played 3D Balls for the Sega Genesis.
I like 3D balls on the Genesis. It's got a pretty fun game mechanic where your balls and it's in 3D and you fight people. You fight other balls. I really like that game. It's balls. The soundtrack goes like It's pretty good. I really like that game. I give it 7 Bud Lights limes out of 7.
7 out of 7. Can I give an honorable
No.
mention? Oh, never mind.
Go ahead anyway.
I like the platforming and level design of a game that's not it isn't really a 3D platformer, but it's called Dishonored 2. And that game is the best example of quality level design. If they made that like a full-fledged 3D platformer, it would be awesome. Just the way they integrate like an actual town with jumping and platform movement. That would be...
Is
No.
Halo a 3D platformer?
That's a good thumbnail. That'll get the people watching.
You jump.
You got your Marios, your Crash Bandicoots, and your Master Chiefs.
Do you guys remember Blinks the Time Sweeper? Microsoft
Yes.
tried, guys.
Tried a little too hard.
I tried so hard and got so far. But in the end,
These platforms are so hard to make.
Are you gonna freestyle?
Why must I try so hard to make? I'm rock and roll freestyle.
all right.
A 3D platform.
All right, I'm gonna drop a sick beat, Spencer. Are you ready?
I will try.
Okay. Teddy, you can add a little bit of sound effect if you want. Okay.
Sure.
Ready?
My name is Sonic. I got a good game. No, I don't. They're actually pretty lame.
Classic.
My name is Clue Clue. I'm not really great. You should play it. Oh. Okay, I failed that one.
All right, I'm up. Keep the beat going. Clue Clue Land. This is a really tough game. Playing it too long might make you insane. I don't know what y'all even trying to form, but you can't handle this platform.
Ooh. You want me to cover the beat?
I don't know. I feel like I had it pretty good there.
Well, you got to rap now.
DK64 is a bore. I like Bulbasaur. I went to the grocery store and I bought me some s'mores.
That was
Matt,
good.
that's
Dude,
a-
you
that's
guys
a-
made me look like a chump.
That's a map out.
That's a
Mappers
that's
out.
a rap out.
Mappers. That's a mapper rap out. Because we are the
Button
Button
Rappers.
Join us next time for
What?
our discourse on Spencer.
Do we like him?
Of the highest intellectual.
We're just gonna argue about Spencer.
Yeah.
I don't like that shirt.
I don't really care for
I don't
that
like
guy.
shirt he has on. I mean, it's kind of. Have you seen his haircut? Like it's.
I'm working
Why
on
does
it.
he drink so much
Yeah,
water?
Is he thirsty?
Does anybody have to be that hydrated?
Well, he is from Arizona, so he's probably a cactus.
I'm from Arizona.
Where half their population is cactus.
Are we going to ask the viewers to do something with 2D and 3D
Oh
platforming?
yeah, tell us why you like them or why you don't.
Yeah. Oh, so like leave us a comment saying like I prefer 2D platforming because or 3D platforming because.
We
And
have
then
a
tell us
special event coming up. Hopefully.
Some might call it an event. Yeah. I don't
Thanks
wanna
for
give it a
watching our video, guys. Hopefully you like it. I'm hoping I make enough money off this to afford another 6-pack of Bud Light Lime.
I like Bud Light
Bud
Lime.
Light Lime. It makes you feel fancy. It's not like it's like Bud Light, but with some lime, and it makes you feel look good. You know, it's like I'm a little better than people who just drink Bud Light. I'm living a dream. Got my double wide trailer. Got my pickup out back.
This is where you live though, isn't it?
What? What you talking about?
You listen in back of the KFC.
I live in the back of the KFC. Colonel Sanders is my pawpaw. You know, I actually work with a dude. True story that met like his family. His grandparents are pretty wealthy, and they actually like knew Colonel Sanders. Isn't that fucking nuts?
I thought he was a
No.
made-up character.
He was a real dude. Apparently, like because he sold the company, and like I forget he sold it in, like the '60s or something. But apparently, like after he sold it and they made it like very commercialized, he went and ate there. He said that was fucking terrible. Yeah, it's just true story.
I think it would be an inappropriate time to make a
What?
joke.
No,
but,
please.
I thought he was a sandwich.
I thought he was a pumpkin. But there's actually a restaurant that he also started here called Claudia Sanders, which was named after his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little Kentucky facts for you.
And it went
Kentucky
down
Fried
faster
Fat.
than she did.
What, Claudia Sanders?
Is that where we end?
Awkward silence.
Guys? Button? Yo, I
We
really
are-
love to get me some chicken tenders, but they can't handle all of this Colonel Sanders. What? We're the Button Mappers, and today we're also Button Rappers. You don't give a what we spit, but you know we come in with the hot shit. Basically, try and rap now. You try to start, it's gonna be a map out. What?
Clue.
Word!
Word to your columns.
Where do you call him?
Before we go, ask yourself one last question. Is it worth it?
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them Button Mappers.